You're raising my grandchildren in a metal box on wheels, Richard Beaumont spat, gesturing at our tiny home with undisguised contempt. This isn't living, it's existing, and barely that. My phone screen lit up with notifications from the New York Stock Exchange, but the most important one was from my CFO. Trading opens in 5 minutes at $45 per share. You're about to be worth $400 million. The Sunday morning visit to our tiny house community in Austin had started like all of Richard's visits, with criticism disguised as concern. He stood in our 340-square-foot home, his polo shirt and pressed khakis making him look like he'd gotten lost on his way to the country club. My husband James poured coffee while our kids, 7-year-old Sophia and 5-year-old Max, played in their loft bedroom above. "Richard, we've been through this," James said wearily. "The kids are happy. We're happy. This is our choice." "Choice?" Richard's voice dripped disdain. "Choosing poverty isn't noble, son. It's negligent. What happens when Sophia needs her own room? When Max wants to have friends over? When they realize their friends live in actual houses while they're crammed into a trailer?" "It's not a trailer," I said calmly, though we'd had this conversation dozens of times. "It's a certified tiny house. There's a significant difference in construction, safety standards, and lipstick on a pig, Natalie. You can call it whatever makes you feel better, but you're living in 340 square feet of denial." My phone buzzed again. Multiple messages from the executive team, all variations of "it's happening." But I kept my attention on my father-in-law, who was now examining our kitchen with theatrical disappointment. "A 2-burner stove," he announced to no one. "My grandson deserves a kitchen where his mother can cook real meals, not whatever you manage on this hot plate." "I made lamb shanks last night," I said. "From scratch. The kids helped. In this?" He gestured at our compact but professionally designed kitchen. "How do you even turn around?" "Efficiently," James said, trying to lighten the mood. "Dad, we've lived here for 3 years. The kids are thriving. Our family is. Living like refugees," Richard finished. "Do you know what people at the club say when they ask about you?" "I have to lie, James. I tell them you're in transition, looking for a real home. Because how do I explain that my MBA son chose to live in a trailer park? Tiny house community." I corrected again, though I knew it was pointless. 20 trailers on a patch of land is a trailer park, regardless of what hipster name you give it. Sophia's head appeared from the loft. "Grandpa Richard, want to see my reading nook?" His face softened marginally. "Hello, sweetheart. Maybe you can show me when you visit my house. My real house. With actual rooms." "I like our house," Sophia said. "It's cozy." "Cozy is what poor people say when they can't afford space," Richard muttered, but loud enough for everyone to hear. My phone rang. Board of Directors calling. In 2 minutes, Tiny Living Incorporated would begin public trading. 5 years of building a company from our lived experience was about to culminate in a $2.5 billion valuation. "I need to take this," I said. "Of course you do," Richard snarked. "Probably another one of your consulting clients. Tell me, Natalie, how much does advising other people to live in poverty pay?" I stepped onto our deck, all 100 square feet of it, and answered. "Natalie, you watching?" It was Simon, my board chairman. "I'm with family. Text me updates. Family should be celebrating with you. You're about to." "They don't know, Simon. Just text me." I hung up and returned inside where Richard was now lecturing James about property values and generational wealth. "Throwing away your children's future for some misguided minimalist fantasy. Do you know what this trailer is worth? Maybe 30,000? 40. About that," James agreed, catching my eye. He knew exactly what was about to happen, but played along with his father's assumptions. "A real house in a good school district starts at $400,000. That's an asset. That's security. This," he stomped on our floor. "This depreciates. Every day you live here, you're losing money." "We're debt-free," I pointed out. "No mortgage, no car payments, no equity, no investment, no future." Richard's face was getting red. "I didn't pay for Columbia Business School, so my son could live like he's homeless." "Dad," James warned. "What?" "Someone needs to say it. You're 40 years old, James. 40. Living in a trailer with 2 kids and a wife who enables this insanity. When does it end?" My phone lit up with Simon's text. Opening bell. Trading at $47. Up from $45 already. "When we're ready," James said steadily. "This lifestyle gives us freedom, time with our kids, the ability to." "To what? Pretend poverty is a choice? You know what this is really about? Richard pointed at me. It's her. This whole tiny house obsession started when you met her. Because Natalie showed me there was another way to live, James defended. She showed you how to give up, how to settle for less, how to deny my grandchildren the opportunities they deserve. Grandpa said we're poor, Max announced, climbing down from the loft. Are we poor? No, sweetheart, I said, scooping him up. We have everything we need. Everything you need isn't everything you deserve, Richard said. Children deserve bedrooms, yards, playrooms, not a ladder to a cushion on the floor. I love my ladder, Max protested. Because you don't know better. But someday you will. Someday you'll visit friends in real houses and wonder why your parents chose to raise you in poverty. Another text from Simon. $52 per share. CNBC wants an interview. It's not poverty, I said quietly. It's intentionality. Intentional poverty is still poverty, Richard shot back. You can philosophy your way around it all you want, but facts are facts. You're raising children in 340 square feet, while their peers have 3,400. And those peers see their parents 2 hours a day because they're working to pay for those 3,400 square feet, James said. We have dinner together every night. We know our neighbors. We're not drowning in debt or... You're drowning in delusion. Richard exploded. This isn't noble, it's negligent. What happens when? My phone rang again. This time, I recognized the number. CNBC direct line. Excuse me, I said, stepping back outside. Natalie Morrison? The voice was breathless. This is Kelly Chun from CNBC. Tiny Living just hit $55 a share. You're now worth over $400 million. How does it feel to be the tiny house movement's first billionaire? I'm not a billionaire, I corrected. And I'm with family. Can we schedule something for? Just a quick statement. The market is going crazy. A tiny house company with a $3 billion valuation? Your story needs to be told. My story is being lived. I'll call you tomorrow. I hung up and turned to find Richard standing in the doorway. Everything okay? He asked with false concern. Not getting evicted, are you? I know a good realtor. Everything's perfect, I said, walking past him. Inside, James had pulled up his phone, unable to resist watching the IPO. His face was carefully neutral, but I saw the slight smile he was suppressing. What are you looking at? Richard demanded. Just checking the time, James lied. Dad, I think. Another phone rang. This time Richard's. What? He answered irritably. Then his face changed. That's impossible. Check again. A pause. Tiny Living Inc.? The IPO? Another pause. My daughter-in-law? Are you certain? He lowered the phone slowly, staring at me. That was my broker, he said carefully. He says there's a company called Tiny Living Incorporated that just went public. The founder is listed as Natalie Morrison. That's Mom's name, Sophia said excitedly. Yes, I said simply. It is. The company that builds tiny houses. That sells tiny house plans and communities. That's worth. He checked his phone. $3 billion? 3.2 at current trading, James said, giving up the pretense. Though it'll probably settle around 3 by close. You own. Richard's voice was faint. 51%. 53, I corrected. I retained a majority stake through all funding rounds. He did the math. That's $400 million. Paper wealth, I said. Can't sell for 6 months. SEC rules. You're worth $400 million and you live in a trailer? Tiny house. And yes. By choice. Absolutely. Richard sank onto our convertible couch/dining bench/storage unit. I don't understand. I know, I said gently. That's why we never told you. You see our lifestyle as failure. We see it as success. The company grew from our choice to live differently, not despite it. But you could afford anything. Everything. We can afford anything. We choose everything. There's a difference. Mommy's company helps people build tiny houses, Max explained helpfully. Like ours, but all different. 15,000 units sold in 5 years, I added. Plus community developments in 12 states. Turns out lots of people want financial freedom more than granite countertops. But why live here? Richard gestured around our home. You could have a mansion. Security. Space. We have security. Emotional, financial, familial. Space. We have all outdoors. Mansion. Who needs 20 rooms when 4 people only occupy 1 at a time? This is insane, Richard muttered. This is intentional, James corrected. Dad, Natalie didn't get lucky. She identified a cultural shift, built a company addressing it, and maintained her values throughout. Living here isn't despite her success. It's the source of it. You knew. Richard accused his son. I helped build it. I'm the CFO. You left McKinsey to be CFO of a trailer company? Tiny house company. And yes, best decision I ever made. Besides marrying the founder. My phone buzzed with interview requests from Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fast Company. The financial world was discovering what our community had known for years, that choosing less could lead to more. I need air, Richard said, stumbling outside. We let him go. Sophia and Max returned to playing, unaware their net worth had just changed by 9 figures. James pulled me into a hug. No regrets, he whispered. None. I get to live in 340 square feet with a CEO worth $400 million. Living the dream. Richard returned, looking older somehow. I owe you an apology. No, you don't. You love your grandchildren. You want security for them. We just define security differently. I called you trash. Said you were living in poverty. While you were building an empire. While I was building a life. The empire was secondary. Will you move now? With the money. I looked around our tiny home. At the kids' artwork covering one wall. At the built-in breakfast nook where we'd shared 1,000 meals. At the loft where we read bedtime stories every night. Maybe, I said honestly. We've talked about building a small house. Maybe 800 square feet. Room for the kids to grow. 800 square feet, Richard repeated. With $400 million. Money doesn't change values. It just gives you more options to express them. I've been an idiot, he said quietly. You've been a concerned grandfather. But Richard, your grandchildren aren't deprived. They're enriched. They know the value of enough. That's worth more than any square footage. Can I see Sophia's reading nook now? Sophia squealed and grabbed his hand, pulling him up the ladder. In her 4x6 space, she'd created a magical world of books and fairy lights. It's beautiful, Richard said, and meant it. Grandpa, Sophia asked, are you still sad we live in a tiny house? No, sweetheart. I think Grandpa was confused about what makes a home. It's not the size, she said matter-of-factly. It's the love inside. Your mom teach you that? No, I figured it out myself. But Mom says I'm smart like that. Richard looked at me over his granddaughter's head. She is. Just like her mother. The IPO closed at $54 a share. Tiny Living Incorporated was valued at $3.3 billion. I was worth $420 million. And I still lived in 340 square feet. By choice. Because sometimes the biggest life comes in the smallest spaces. And sometimes fathers-in-law learn that their sons didn't marry down. They married someone who understood up was a direction, not a destination. Richard stayed for dinner, helping prep vegetables in our inadequate kitchen, laughing at Max's jokes across our too small table, watching the sunset from our pathetic deck. It is cozy, he admitted as he left. Cozy is what poor people say, Sophia quoted back at him with a grin. No, he corrected himself. Cozy is what smart people choose. We watched him drive away in his Mercedes, back to his 5,000 square foot house. Think he'll ever really get it? James asked. Maybe. But it doesn't matter. We get it. The kids get it. 15,000 customers get it. And Wall Street gets that we're profitable. That's all they need to understand. That night, in our 340 square feet, we were worth $420 million and washing dishes by hand, reading stories by LED light, and falling asleep to the sound of rain on our metal roof. Living like trash, as Richard had said. Or living like treasure. Depending on your perspective.